One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. Our guest today is Patti Phillips. Patti is the Chief Executive Officer of Women Leaders in College Sports. Thanks for joining us, Patti.
Thank you, Ty. Really happy to be here with you.
Now, Patti, you've been in the business of sports for 30 years.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of changes. You've seen a lot of stagnation and a lot of progress, I would say.
Yep.
And now as the Chief Executive Officer of Women Leaders in College Sports, you actually have a heavy influence in preparing women for leadership roles, I guess, in college athletics. The leadership institutes put on by your organization have grown to become very influential in preparing women for leadership roles in college athletics. Can you describe the attributes of these programs and how the curriculum prepares the participants for future leadership?
Absolutely. As you and I were talking about before, the numbers of women advancing into these leadership roles has skyrocketed this year. There's already been 26 women that have advanced in 4 months through 2018, and I know we'll talk more about that later, but it is important because we've been tracking on these numbers through our advancement initiative since 2012 as far as women getting hired. And so with the information that we were getting from search firms and hirers about why or why not women weren't getting hired, then we took that information and infused it into these programs that you were referencing and really reshaped all of our programs. We have 4 levels of programs, and we do work in partnership with the NCAA on these, but we have our Women's Leadership Symposium, which is entry level, our Institute for Administrative Advancement, which is mid-level, our Leadership Enhancement Institute for senior level women, and then our Executive Institute, which is executive level women looking to advance in the next 1 to 3 years into those leadership positions. So, again, we've taken the information that we have gleaned from the industry, and some of it is industry trends. I mean, things have changed over several years. We know that to advance in our industry into executive level positions, whether you want to lead as an athletic director or commissioner, you've got to be around the big budget programs, which is most often football and men's basketball, hopefully sports supervising. You've got to have experience in hiring and firing coaches. You have to be in fundraising. So those are just things that we've learned. We've learned how much titles matter and how you can negotiate on those type of things. So, I think it's been twofold, Ty. One is obviously tracking on the qualities needed to lead, the qualities needed to lead at any level, the characteristics that leaders have to have influence and to be able to make a difference in their department. But the other thing is looking at industry trends. Our industry, as you know, has changed quite a bit over the years and is still changing. So we kind of track on what's happening and what hirers are saying that they need from their leaders in order to kind of stay in front of all these changing trends. And so all that, again, has been infused into our programs.
Now, beyond the benefits for the respective participants, do the Women Leaders Institutes produce measurable outcomes that have influence on the college athletic industry as a whole?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we do track on all of our institute grads at every level to see how they are advancing. And honestly, that's not an easy task, as you can imagine. A lot of that is self-reporting, and we have to be able to find these people, and they have to let us know they've gotten an increase, what we ask for, in salary, in job responsibilities, or in title. So those are kind of the 3 things, and then we can measure that the information that they learned at the institute and how long it took possibly for them to get those kind of advancements in their personal growth and development. And so, for instance, since 2017, we had, which is literally just last year, we had our Executive Institute, and 38% of those graduates have advanced, received an increase in salary or title, or added more responsibilities to their roles. So it's really, over a third. 4 of those, only 24, have already become athletic directors, and actually 5, I can say now, have become athletic directors out of those 24. 28% of our IAA kind of mid-level institute graduates since last summer have advanced. So again, you're talking almost a third in less than a year. We can go back to other years, but that just shows you the kind of numbers. If you go back to 2013, 83% of our graduates have advanced in one way or another. And we say, and again, we're looking at advancements at all levels. The ones that everybody else in the industry is looking at is the athletic director and commissioner positions, and those are super important. They're the most visible. Those numbers have been out there, and that's the 26 you referenced. Those numbers per all divisions have, and we also have 2 NAIA athletic director hires in that number as well. So that's the number through 4 months this year. Now, Ty, since we were tracking on the number of women hired into these athletic director and commissioner roles since 2012, there was 19 total that year. We've already blown that out of the water. In 13, there was 28 total, so we're already almost surpassing that. And then we get into the mid to high 30s from 2014 on up. And what these numbers show over time, and since we've been tracking on this, is that there's a change coming. We talk a lot about our programs and the impact they're having, and they are, but I think the other thing that we have really worked hard to do that is harder to measure is that we're changing the narrative around women leading. And that's what our organization overall as a whole is doing in our communications, our celebrations of women that have been hired, and making sure we're highlighting that so people know. We've all heard the phenomenon, you have to see it to be it. So seeing women at all levels in leading is super important. Seeing them at the Power 5 level is super important. We've had new hires, really 3 in the last 2 years at that level, with Jen Cohen at Washington, Heather Like at Pitt, and then of course Carla Williams at Virginia. Sandy Barber and Debbie Yao have been, just phenomenal over the years as well. But, changing the narrative about women leading is the other big picture cultural shift that we've been working on. And we do that not only through our communications broadly, but also in our work with search firms, presidents and chancellors and other hires, just trying to uncover and change those unconscious biases.
Right. Well, I think it's a major benefit to track, which, like you're saying, to look at the things outside of what everybody in the public sees. When you're out there talking about these institutes and talking about whether you're doing or people who have been through your institutes or members of your organization are talking about it, they actually can refer to tangible outcomes, which I think makes a big difference when you're talking about programs and academies and institutes.
Absolutely.
Now, out of the 26 women in 2008 so far, as of this recording, how many of those women have been through the Women Leaders Institutes?
18 of those 26.
Oh, wow.
So that's 72%. Right. Or 20.
Oh, 27.
Yeah, no, 26. Yeah. So 18 of those. I just changed my number before the call. So and again, the good news is the numbers are changing so quickly.
Right. We can't record fast enough.
Right? So that's a great problem. But 72%, which is huge, and then 64% are current women leader members. So, when you go through these programs, another big important piece is you develop these bonds and these women that you can bounce ideas off of and that you celebrate and support each other. So those graduates and those groups stay pretty close throughout their careers and advancing. But yeah, the numbers are pretty strong right now, and those that have been involved in our programming.
Right. Well, that's excellent. I have a philosophy called putting it back in the bucket. Meaning, as you
right.
come up in your career, you're gleaning from the bucket to get to where you are. But once you get to your leadership positions, you got to start bringing people along. And it sounds like that's what the women leaders in college sports emphasize and what you guys do there at that organization.
Yeah, I like that, putting it back in the bucket. We actually call that lift as we rise.
Yeah, lift as you rise.
And so it's the same thing. We got to lift others as we are rising. And but I like that, putting it back in the bucket. I'm going to use that every now and then, Ty.
Excellent. Well, Patti, this has been an excellent conversation here, and I definitely appreciate you joining me here on One Question.
Yes. Thanks so much. We sure appreciate the opportunity.
That was Patti Phillips. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Women Leaders in College Sports, and we talked about the number of women being hired in leadership positions now in college athletics, and it is astoundingly growing, and there's a lot of progress, but there's also much work that still needs to be done. And of course, this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.